people disappear behind this door. I got a job as a night security guard in an old dorm almost by accident. The job was simple: sit at your post, patrol the floors once an hour, and make sure no one was breaking into locked rooms. The building was being prepared for renovation, so half the floors were empty. When I was signing the documents, the administrator said something strange. He didn't even look up from the paperwork. Check the third floor as usual, but ignore one door. Which one? He paused. You'll figure it out yourself. I chuckled. What, a warehouse in there? He looked at me for the first time and said very calmly, just don't open it. Everything was fine the first night. The old building creaked, the pipes groaned occasionally, but nothing out of the ordinary. When I reached the third floor, the corridor seemed longer than on the other floors. The light there was dimmer, and at the very end stood a door. Old, metal, unnumbered. There was a sign nailed to it. Do not open. I walked closer. The door looked like it had been painted dozens of times. The paint was blistered. The handle was cold as ice. I didn't touch it. I simply wrote in my log, third floor, uneventful. On the second night, I heard a sound. Around 2 o'clock. Knock. I looked up. At first, I thought it was somewhere outside. Then again. Knock. Knock. The sound was dull. Metallic. I immediately knew where it was coming from. Third floor. I took the flashlight and went up. The hallway was empty, but the sound continued. Slow, like someone patiently knocking. When I reached the end of the hallway, the sound grew louder. Knock. From behind the door. I stood there for a few seconds. Hello. Silence. Then again. Knock. I took a step back and left. The next morning, I asked the administrator, does someone live at the end of the third hallway? He immediately understood what I meant. No. Then who's knocking there? He was silent for a long time. Then he said, if you hear anything, just leave. But there might be a person there. He looked at me as if I'd said something naive. If there's a person there, they're beyond help. After that, I started searching for information. Old news, forums, archives, and I found something strange. Over the past 20 years, 7 people have disappeared in this building. Students, workers, 1 courier, and 1 security guard. Last seen, on the 3rd floor, 3rd night. The knocking had started earlier, about an hour, but now it was different. Fast, nervous, knock, 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 as if someone was panicking. I stood in front of the door. The knocking stopped, and a voice rang out, very quiet. Please. I froze. Who's there? Help. The voice was male. It sounded as if the man hadn't had a drink of water in a long time. I'm locked in here. My heart was pounding. How did you get in there? A pause, then a reply. I don't remember. I almost opened the door, honestly. My hand was already on the handle. And then a voice said, it's dark in there. Something in his tone was strange. Very dark. He spoke slowly. Sometimes, someone walks nearby. I felt a chill run down my spine. Who? A long pause. Then a whisper. I think. He was a guard too. I abruptly removed my hand from the handle and left. On the 4th night, I set up a camera. Just a phone. Pointed it at the door and left it on the floor. In the morning, I watched the recording. 2 hours of nothing. Then, the door began to slowly open. On its own. Very slowly. The creak was so quiet that the microphone barely picked it up. The door opened a few centimeters. It was pitch black inside. The phone continued recording. A minute passed. 2. 5. Then something appeared out of the darkness. First, fingers. Very long. Too long for a human hand. They slowly touched the hallway floor and began to move. Like a spider. The phone suddenly went dead. I showed the recording to the administrator. He watched silently. Then he closed the video and said, "Today is your last shift. What's that door?" He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "When they were building the building, the workers found a wall. And there was this door behind the wall. And what's behind it?" He answered quietly, "No one knows." Before leaving, I decided to do one last thing. I went up to the 3rd floor. The hallway was empty. I approached the door, and suddenly I heard a familiar voice. The same one. "You're back." I said nothing. "Are you still going to open it?" I looked at the handle. "You understand that there's someone there." I was silent, and then a voice said something that made my heart stop. I heard them screaming, "When you left yesterday." "Who?" Silence. Then a quiet laugh. "Those standing behind you." I turned around abruptly. The hallway was empty. When I turned back, the door was open, just a few centimeters. A chill blew in from inside, and from the darkness, someone whispered, "Now it's your turn to keep watch." I ran, without looking back. I quit that same day. 3 months have passed. I try not to remember this place, but sometimes at night, I wake up to a sound, quiet, metallic, from behind the door of my apartment. Knock.